Well, good afternoon. That was an amazing history that Mr. Morris gave us. Powerful. I often quote Frederick Douglass in my blog. I wasn't supposed to. Well, I guess I was supposed to be here, and this is divine. I'm just going to take a few moments. I am a victim to survivor of human trafficking in the form of sex slavery. And I was taken at 11 years old, and I lived in a brothel. I was repeatedly raped, and what Ken said really touched my heart, because even today, when a victim comes out of human trafficking, of sex slavery, and let me just say this, it's not sex. Sex is something between a husband and a wife that's a beautiful thing. This is soul assassination. It is a murder and crippling of the spirit. It was then and it is now. Coming out, I didn't really know how to brush my teeth. A lot of victims of sex slavery don't even understand personal hygiene and simple things like that. And there has never, for any of us, been anything called teenage prostitution. And for us, the people who have ever said that is a quandary. And so for a lot of you here today, I would say, have mercy. When you see a young boy or a young lady on the street prostituting themselves, there is someone, a trafficker, not far away. I was in a maximum security prison as a young teenager because you're not allowed to carry ID. I've had multiple abortions and I cannot have children. Never thought I'd be happily married, and I am happily married. But my husband and I are planning on adopting. I do know that children come from God, and so I'm excited about adopting children. I had the fortunate opportunity to meet Mr. Morris in Los Angeles with my mentor, and he understood my story. Because of his lineage, because of his intelligence, and because of his godly heart, I believe that he understood somehow what it might have been like for me to be stripped and beaten and raped and put into a bathtub. And I was addicted to drugs for a long time. I'm an actress and a filmmaker, and I had a nervous breakdown and was suicidal for many years. When people asked me recently, when did you get out of human trafficking? I said, well, I spent my whole life getting out. And it's just been the last 2 years that I've been, I think, whole to speak and to understand who I am. Because it's not a pill or an organization. No one can give you an identity. And it's hard to live a life without one. I want to say that a child's brain doesn't develop till they're 24 years old. So when a trafficker sees a jewel in a young person, the enemy goes in there and violates and captures that jewel and perverts it and gives that child an identity that is not what they were destined to have. So while this thing is growing and growing inside of them, they're becoming something that is not the purpose. Because I believe that we're all born as an answer to a problem. And we all have our own points of greatness and destiny, but it's robbed. So someone like myself, who it probably seems, and this is funny to me, but I didn't always speak like this. I couldn't even string a sentence together properly. I couldn't. It's only God's grace and a lot of fight, prayer, cognitive therapy, over and over, and year after year after year, and fighting, that pretty much delineates who I am today. This woman before you, who is just happy because I'm 6 feet above ground, because I shouldn't be here. So as young people that are here, and everyone's young in their own way, be very merciful. Don't use words like prostitute. Even women that are older than 18, many women and men operating in prostitution got into it as children. And so at 23, 24, 25, they don't know who they are. One of my favorite scriptures in Isaiah 42:22, and it says, there are people enslaved and locked in bondage, and no one says restore. Because we'll walk by a 24-year-old girl walking in the street, and we assume she wants to be there, not realizing that she has a behavioral disorder operating an identity not given to her. But we must say restore. Through funding organizations like the Frederick Douglass Family Foundation, I love their program and the power of empowering young people and getting in there, because if the mind is at the center of the heart. Science has revealed that the mind is the heart in the Greek, and in the Greek language, the mind is the heart and the heart is the mind. And the subconscious is at the center of the heart, and the heart relates to the hippocampus in the brain. So fear, which a lot of victims operate out of, is because of an impact of a broken heart. And I could go on about this and try to make sense of it, but I don't have the time. But I will go back to be merciful with victims. Watch the value you give words like prostitution or calling someone a whore or a hoe or anything like that. Understand that if young people don't get help, especially young men dealing with pedophilia but haven't operated on it yet, if we give value to things we call them, that'll grow inside of them. So when you see people, young people dealing with things, or even people that are older, have mercy, be empathetic, walk always in love, give and do when you can, whenever you can. And I will say you can follow me on Twitter, Brook Bellow. I'm opening up a restoration house. I walked away from acting a little bit just because I make a lot of money as an actress, but I couldn't. Arts were the only safe place I felt normal, because I haven't felt normal most of my life. But this work is the most important work that I'm doing. Opening up a restoration house in Florida so that people have a soft place to fall. And teaching and doing prevention and doing awareness, and as Kenneth says, doing prayer and therapy and all of the balances that it's going to take. Slavery is not new, and it's not going to go away until people like you make a stance in any way that you can. I'm so glad that you came here today. God bless you.